Hey Moto Exotica and Z-28 fans, today we've got a really special car. It's an early built 69 RS Camaro Z-28. Now this is an early car, so it does not have an X in the code. So how do you say that it's real? Well, what we happen to have is the original protective plate. It's a California built car and it spent most of its life in Costa Mesa, California. It's finished in Hugger Orange, very desirable color with white stripes. What makes the RS different than your standard Z28 was a lighting package for the most part. There was no performance difference. So it gave you the hideaway headlights, gave you a different rear tail light, and the backup lights were down below. They weren't part of the light package above. So if people tell you about RS Z28, there you go, there's your difference. Very nice car, same owner for like the last 20 years. It is all numbers matching, and I dare find another one as original as this. Mark's here to tell you a little bit more about it.
Let me tell you a little bit more information, kind of the data and all the numbers, crunching all the numbers on the 69 Z28, what makes it special, what makes it kind of rare. In today's market, we see a lot of 69 Z28s out there. Sometimes I swear there's more than they're actually produced. So it kind of, especially the early 69 Z28s such as this, they're kind of hard to verify that they are absolute genuine. Number one is on the data tag from the factory. The early actually the early Norwood cars and all of LA cars did not get the X codes. So on this data tag, basically at Norwood in 69, I think production after December or January, they started putting X codes to let you know that this car left the factory with a Z28. But this is an early car, and this is an LA built car, where they did not do X codes in both of those situations. So the only real way that you can tell that you have a real Z28 is, first is, does it have the original DZ block with a matching matching the VIN number of your car? Because Chevy only put the 302 DZ only in the Z28 at this time period. So if you got a motor that matches its VIN number on the car, well, that tells you it's a Z28 because only the Z28's left for the 302. The second and the best way is to have a original. Very important here. This is basically the protective plate. This tells me everything on how this car left the factory, and I mean everything. So this car, we've gone all the way through it. The motor matches the VIN number. It's the correct motor. The transmission is also numbers matching, also with the correct build date of October of 1968. This car was completed in November of 1968, so all its pieces were manufactured basically in September and October. We go to the rear end. It is also numbers matching, date code correct like it should be. And a lot of other little details of this car are still date code correct. One of my favorite pieces is the Hearst shifter from the factory. Is still date code correct and matching to this car. You usually don't see that. This car left the factory as Hugger Orange. It is still Hugger Orange. It's a very sought after color. It left the factory with white stripes. So today, this car really stands the way it left the factory. And the final thing that we finally made sure that this car was real, it did leave the factory as a real Raleigh Sport package, which comes with the headlights. Obviously the vacuum system for the headlights, the rear end's a little bit different. But just wanted to talk about how rare this car is for it to be completely numbers matching, and not only that, you can't argue of how genuine this car is, and I can't tell you with an early 69 Z28, that's a rare thing today. Just going to show you the backside real quick of the 69 Z28. I love the first generation rear end. It's very menacing, very muscular back. On these cars, you could have the rear end basically in two ways. You have the RS version as you see here, and just the standard Z28 for 69. But the RS got a little bit of extra treatment. It got a totally different tail lights than the regular Z28. And more importantly, they removed the reverse lights down below. A little trick is a lot of people in these first gen Camaros, the Z-28s, a lot of them, after the fact that the car was new, they added the RS package themselves. Even some dealers did. So there's some tricks to look at these cars and see if it was basically factory installed or was it later installed. And one of the biggest little tricks is if you look down in here, you can't really see the Camaro and the view right here, but GM basically wired these cars from the factory in a special way. It's kind of hard to duplicate, which this car has. And another big important thing is usually when people added these, they cut a hole with a Sawzall or some tool in the garage and put this over here where you couldn't see the hole. Well, the factory ones were stamped metal from the factory for these reverse holes. And I have indeed checked that this car is stamped. And a couple other little tricks up in front. I know for sure that this car is really a RS. Alrighty, well, I wanted to show you guys the inside real quick. Even the seat belts have date stamps from 68, late 68, because again, early 69 car. On a Z-28, the early cars can kind of come a little bit different than the later cars. When you start seeing a later 69 Norwood to LA, they always have usually a center console right here that's got the gauges. The early cars, the console was an option, and this car left the factory without the center console, which also gives me note tack. The reason why they went to the center console, they put a lot of these gauges down here. You had a tack to see your RPM range on the high rev in 302. And if I remember, the tack changed a couple times throughout the 69 model year. But this one is a no console, kind of bare bones Camaro. I kind of like that in the Z-28. Previous owner did add a couple gauges to monitor it, and so he could drive it around and all that good stuff. It also has the wood accent in the steering wheel of the RS package. Again, this is an RS package Z-28, so it's got some of the RS bits, but largely this interior is really original and really good shape. The seats are correct material. I would say they've probably been redone because they're pretty darn nice, but I would say the carpet and pretty much door panels and all the little bits and pieces are original of this 69 Z-28. Well, if you're in the market right now for basically a genuine Camaro Z-28 in the early 69, and you're out there searching for the one that's got all the numbers matching, correct color, got it all going on. A lot of those cars out there that are for sale appear to be, but they're definitely not. You've got to do your homework on these cars. But if you're looking for one and this is your color, definitely give us a call. I would love to talk to you about all the little details of it. And if you're really interested, come on down and check it all out yourself. Thank you for watching Moto Exotica.
Hello, Moto Exotica.